perfection in advance of taking action is not possible. And if you're telling yourself that it needs to be perfect before you can move forward, you're just lying to yourself. I'm Elissa Shuck, ex-corporate hiring manager, middle manager turned leadership and career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I experienced layoffs, narcissistic bosses, toxic work environments, and leadership challenges that had me wondering, why in the world did I ever get into management? But I've also had 12 career promotions. I co-founded a company. I've made multiple industry pivots and turned around poor performing teams. I've achieved everything I set out to do and imagined that I could do in my career. I created the Love Your Work Life podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a high-achieving employee and leader, or you're one in the making who's looking to create a career instead of letting it happen on default, who wants a work life that feels happy and satisfying, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Have you ever had this happen to you? You decide on a goal and you feel pretty good about it. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this. And you feel a little motivated. But somewhere, and for me, this happens approximately 12 to 18 hours later. If I feel good one afternoon about my goal, then certainly by the time I get up the next morning, I'm experiencing this. And maybe you do too. Fear, dread, retreat, like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I don't actually need that goal. Maybe I don't actually want that thing, right? It's so crazy how we give up on it so fast before we actually ever get started. It's kind of crazy. I always wonder if it's this thought, and I don't think that this is happening on a conscious level, but somewhere in there, we don't really believe that we can get what we want. We don't really believe that the goal is achievable. If it's not actually going to happen, then why would I waste my time doing anything towards it? Like I said, I don't know that it's conscious, but I've just got to believe that somewhere in there is that thought, hey, if it's not going to happen, then if I don't do anything about it, I won't be disappointed. Oh. And so you slip back into your routine and your career move goes back to being a someday. Someday when the market changes. Someday when I have all my ducks in a row and everything is perfect and I'm so prepared. Someday when I feel like it again, I'll go for it. Well, guess what, my friend? You're never going to feel like it unless you decide to feel like it. The market's always going to be wacky. It just is, right? It's a circumstance that we're all experiencing all the time. Your ducks are probably never going to be in a row. And I was so tempted to look up some of those cute animal videos where it shows the mommy walking across the street and the little ducks behind her. There's always a duck that's getting out of place and you have to go chase it down and bring it back in. Perfection in advance of taking action is not possible. And if you're telling yourself that it needs to be perfect before you can move forward, you're just lying to yourself because it doesn't. You have plenty of time to perfect as you go. So you've got to get really curious about why are you perfecting? Is it your brain's clever way of avoiding your goal? Very fascinating. So what I want to teach you today is 3 ways that you can get to your goal so that you don't have excuses anymore. And you can play with these three things depending on what is going on, depending on what your thoughts are, depending on what your particular obstacle is. So here's way number one, willpower. Now, I call this kind of powerful. It's true that we see people in other areas of work life, like athletes, for instance, they just seem to have more willpower, right? That entrepreneur seems to have so much willpower, this powerful way of behaving towards their goal. It's the Nike slogan, just do it, right? Just do it. Well, that's one way. The second way is through discipline. You create a strategy, you plan, you get your next steps, and you just have a sense of discipline and you show up, right? It's just a matter of discipline. The third way is passion. There's a fire within you that compels you to go towards your goal. Now, we can feel any one of these things at different times. What I'm offering you is use all three, not at the same time, but find the one of these three that serves you in the moment you find yourself in when it comes to achieving your goal. So here's how you're going to do it. You have these three tools in your tool belt that you can use, you can access when you need to, and here's how you do it. You find the thought that makes you feel the emotion. So you want to feel powerful, you want to access willpower. What is the thought that makes you feel that way? You want to access discipline. What is a thought that makes you feel like a ridiculously disciplined person who can show up and have your own back anytime you want to? What's the thought that creates the feeling of passion and purpose? That's a good one. I probably could have substituted purpose for passion, but I think they kind of go hand in hand. Maybe purpose feels a little deeper. You pick the one that feels good for you. If you don't have a thought about your current goal that gets you to powerful willpower, disciplined, or passionate purpose, go into the reservoir, the storage space in your brain, and find the thought that gets you there. I guarantee you've had times in your life where you have accessed those feelings and they have motivated you to keep going. Do that next thing. Now, it may not have been on your own behalf. It may have been on behalf of someone else. Maybe it wasn't a career goal, but you access the feeling of discipline somehow, some way, for someone or something, a project, a boss that you really clicked with and you just wanted to do everything you possibly could for that person. You may have accessed some of those emotions, the willpower, the discipline, the passion. So if you don't have a thought about your current goal that gets you to those feelings, go back to a time when you did feel that way. You might be reverse engineering it from the really good accomplishment or the really big project that you tackled, and then reverse engineer that back to what were you feeling while you were doing that, and what was the thought that was creating that feeling for you. And here's a little hack. Just grab that thought and plug it in to the new goal. You can choose any thought you want about your goal. So why not choose a thought that worked really well for you when you were accomplishing something else for someone else? when you're picking these thoughts, I suggest that you just test them. It's a little bit like marketing, right? Marketing is always testing and pivoting. Test these thoughts for yourself. I'll give you a few that might be helpful. So let's say you want to feel a sense of willpower. You want to feel that sense of power. Then maybe the thought to try on is, I can handle anything that comes my way. How does that feel? Does that help you feel like, yep, it feels powerful? It feels like there's nothing that can tear me down. There's no trash talk that I can give myself that's going to stop me. In fact, if you want to be like the athletes, maybe, this is a cool idea. Maybe you use any of that trash talk, imposter syndrome kind of stuff that tends to go on in your brain as motivation. Don't you love it when the athletes are attacking each other on social media, and man, the ones that get trash talked, they show up in the bigger way on game day? What if you did that for yourself? Use any thought that comes into your head as an opportunity to decide, does it serve me or not? Does it give me a feeling of power? Nope, not going to stop me. I can do anything. I can handle anything that comes my way. Okay, let's try another one. How about for discipline? When you feel disciplined, you show up in a different kind of a way, right? When you need discipline, try this one. I always show up when it counts. How does that thought feel? I always show up when it counts. I know you've done this for other people in your life, personally or professionally. How does it feel to show up for yourself always when it counts? This is a feeling of discipline that can serve you really well when you are going for your goal, going for that career move, going for that promotion. When you need to feel discipline, try that thought on. I always show up when it counts. All right, let's look at passionate or purposeful. But I think this thought is so good for passion, for igniting that passion in you. And it's a thought that serves me really well in my life and the things that I want to do. And that is, everything I want is on the other side of the next action I take. Isn't this so cool? Because we think of passion as being this big, giant thing. But passion can actually be ignited with the one small move, the next action. That's it. One little action at a time. And it's a true statement. Everything you want is on the other side of the next action you take. And you can keep thinking that thought over and over again for every single action that requires that purpose, that passion out of you so that you can achieve what you want. Try on these thoughts. Let them be a starting point for additional thoughts. And like I said, if you're having trouble associating these kinds of thoughts with your current career goal, go back and find the thoughts that created those feelings for you at any place in your career, any situation, and transplant those thoughts. Choose those thoughts quite intentionally for yourself and your career goal. Because here's what I know is going to happen when you do that. You're going to have these thoughts, these three feelings, willpower, discipline, and passion, that you can leverage any time you want. Anytime you want to take action on your goal and have no more excuses, you just pick the one that's working for you. Sometimes that might be discipline. Sometimes that might be willpower. Sometimes that might be passion. These are the three things that I know when you're feeling that way are motivating. So pick the one in the moment, have thoughts that you can leverage when you need it. So maybe you got 3 feelings, pick 3 thoughts for each one of those feelings. So you don't have to have an excuse for not doing anything more. You're just going to go into your toolbox and pick the things intentionally, the right tool for the right action. Here's the real kicker. Your brain actually does have all the answers you need. It really does. We get into habits, we get into patterns where we're not conscious of our thoughts. It's just happening and we're not paying attention. And sometimes really good things happen when we're not paying attention because we're just doing our deal. We're just doing our job. We're making it happen. But when you've set a goal for yourself, when you have that little moment of vision, of the promotion, of the raise, of the pivot, whatever your career move is, when you catch that little vision, don't let the hangover 12 hours later stop you. Use these 3 things and get to work. So simple. If you're in a space where you're just not going to accept another year of where you are, then I want you to reach out to me. Let's do a call. I do free consultations so you can find out what it's like to work with me. Let's get on a call. Let's talk about it. I guarantee you're going to feel better after that call, whatever you decide. Whether or not you decide to work with me, you're going to feel amazing when you get off that call. So let's do it. And you, my friend, can just decide. No more excuses. Next week or next month is my time. All right. I'll talk to you again soon. If you like listening to this podcast, I invite you to visit the Love Your Work Life website at elissashuck-careercoach.com. On the site, you're going to find free resources and information about all of my coaching programs, everything you need to land a great job, advance your career, and lead and build an awesome team. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and please visit elissashuck-careercoach.com for more information about how I can help you with your career and leadership goals. Talk to you soon.